sorry when you're going to war. We've got a long way to go, right? But it's just day one. We'll get there.
All right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Sunday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and we're your host, Bull and P. And our players are off of spring break. They're going to be heading back to campus today. And P, it's funny because I'm scrolling through IG, and I talked about it I talked about it at this time last week, and I was just joking. I was like, man, I'm going to be watching to see who's out there partying and, all that type of stuff. But I see a lot of our guys went down to, South Beach. They down there shopping. They staying in Brickell, staying at the Lux, and, out on them yachts, taking like those yacht tours from the river to the bay. And I was like, man, they spent some money down there, but they had a great time. I'm hoping that they, bonded and all that type of stuff. But they should be ready to get back to work because they have a team meeting tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to kick things off. But there's a lot of things we'll be covering today. Obviously, there's so many different storylines. And P, I just want like your opening thoughts with all the time that we've had off since the 2025 season ended to this point, all the talking that we've been doing. Tell me how you feel about spring practice starting up tomorrow.
I'm just excited to get rolling. It's been a long off season. It always is. And especially when you ended the way we ended last season. I think it's 2 years in a row now. We've ended the season on a note that really left a bad taste in your mouth. And, we said it last year. Sometimes that's the best thing for you. And I think this season, I think we'll see probably a lot of the same. Like we'll see just a bad taste in this team's mouth, a bad taste in Coach Heupel's mouth. And that's going to kind of force his hand to be a little bit more proactive, to be a little bit more willing to adapt and change, and maybe make some of the changes that we've been clamoring for freaking years with this staff. So I'm excited to see the changes. We probably won't see a ton of that in the spring, but I would imagine they're going to work on some of that stuff. So maybe we'll get a little behind the scenes peek at some of that stuff. But I'm just excited to see this a brand new team, a lot of new this season, especially on defense. And so I'm just excited to see what this all looks like when it all comes together.
Yeah, I am too. And, spring practice, I know everyone's just excited to see all the new toys and everything else, but people will also say that it's not that big of a deal, which, I mean, I'm definitely not in that camp because I think that we're going to see our team's floor, right? Like tomorrow we're going to see the bare minimum, like baseline, what this team is, and it won't be doing a whole lot that we actually get to see, but we'll hear some things from insiders and so on and so forth. And, they're going to take leaps and bounds from the time that spring practice starts to the time that it ends. We're pretty much still at like the foundation of this house. And it starts in winter workouts, right? And Coach Owens has said it several times. We haven't really even started working out yet. Like we're just building the foundation to start working out. And it sounds like that'll kick off while we're doing spring practice. And, some of these guys getting out there and just like running around for the first time, whether it's in college or whether it's at Tennessee or whatever, just like for the season. This is the real start of it. And I mean, we'll grow leaps and bounds even more over the course of the summer. Fall camp, P, when you're doing what, like we did 3 days, right? But you just wake up at about 4 a.m, you go to sleep at about 1 a.m, and all you're doing is football all day long, every single day. And that's when we'll really see a whole lot of growth. But I get excited about what this team can potentially be, at the end of the year, because we want to win a national championship, right? And people will say, well, there's just no way because there's so many question marks. But you could look at what Indiana did in 2 years, and you got to understand that, man, if you got the right plan, if people buy in, and if you can execute that plan, if people stay bought in all the way through the whole grind of this process, man, you can turn it around quick. It's really about coaching, and you just pointed that out. It's just like Coach Heupel, he's got to make some changes, but we'll be talking about as many things as we can possibly fit into this video from top to bottom, y'all. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And I actually want to start off right here, P, with some of these spring practice open dates on our schedule. And I've taken a look at some of these teams, P. I don't know if you have at all, but I can tell you just from like my personal perspective, Alabama, I'm not impressed with what I've seen. Yeah, look, it is early, but I'm not blown away. South Carolina, I've seen them do some things. They look better physically to me than Alabama does. Alabama, I think, has a little bit of a ways to go. I've seen a few things from Texas. I've heard a lot about Texas. It sounds like they're excited about their team and that they might do some things. But aside from that, I haven't seen a whole lot, Pete. Have you seen anything from any of those teams on that list?
No, I haven't watched much of anybody at all. But that's interesting. You think South Carolina looks better physically than Alabama. I mean, we talk about all the time. That's a team. They're always going to look the part. They get these guys. We don't know where the heck they're getting them from. they have a roster full of guys. The DB Kilgore was that his name at the freaking combine. Comes in there, like 6'1", 212, runs like a 4.3, 4.4. I mean, they got a bunch of guys in that roster. So, that's always a tough matchup when we got to see those guys. And then Texas, I mean, that's a team. I think every year they have that preseason kind of hype about them, and they're a talented roster. Make no bones about it. So we'll see. I think Sark's in the same boat as hype. You talk about a guy who needs to make some off-season changes, some things you need to do differently if you want to, take that next step. I think he's in that same category. So we'll see. It's just going to be an interesting season. Everybody's getting going. Everybody's excited. So hey man, this is it's not the best time of the year, but it's kind of the start of the best time. We're building up to it. And man, I'm just ready to get this thing rolling tomorrow.
Oh yeah, like 1,000,000%. One of the things too, I'm just going through looking at people's rosters. And Tennessee should come out. It might come out today. If it doesn't, I'm hoping that it comes out tomorrow, just so we can see how the sizes have changed. But man, Texas has a huge defensive line. So they're going to run a true 3-4 base, true 3-3-5. They got two guys that's like 380p. I would say that their defensive tackles, I think that their defensive tackles probably average. I mean, dude, it's got to be over 340. And I don't know if we have anybody on the whole roster that's that big, but that's going to be a really interesting matchup, though. Really is, and it's going to be a very interesting season. But I do want to go on ahead and start to jump into some things, right? Because, we do have our own personal wish list of things that we would like to see starting off tomorrow. And it is in order. Well, P, mine is in order. I don't know if yours is or not.
No, I'm not necessarily in any order in particularly. Because I could definitely put, for me, number 5 could be number 1. I want to see different personnels. And number 4 could be number 1 too. Really, all mine are all 1A, 1Bs. It's 1A through 1E or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, man, I just want to see this D-line come out here. A lot of question marks. That's our biggest question marks in the whole team, right? D-line. What do they look like, especially on the interior of that D-line? David Hobbs coming into his 3rd year, I believe, as a guy. Does he take a step? What are we going to get out of those young guys? Campbell, Utley. And those guys take a huge step. I want to hear big things about them. You talk about the rosters coming out. I want to see what their sizes are, what are they listed as. Are these guys pushing 300? Can Campbell get over 300? I think he has potential to get there by the start of the season. Can that happen? So those are things I'm looking for from the D-line. Of course, Gilliam. Not really worried about him. Expect to see him come out here and look really, really good. And then I expect to hear some great things about Coleman as well as Norman. Those guys are big-time ball players. Expect to hear big things about them as well as Man Die. So excited about the D-line. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be mad to hear that they won the spring because I have so much confidence in the offensive line. I think they'll be fine. D-line's my question. So if they come out, the D-line, I think it's one of those classic cases. You talk about, you never know in spring, is it that the offense is bad or defense is good or whatever? You never know. I think this would be a case. We know the O-line's good. I think we know that. So if the D-line comes out here and whips them, to me, that's a good sign. And so I wouldn't mind seeing the D-line win the spring versus the O-line.
No, I think that's cool. Did you want to go through all the rest of the things that you got on there? What you got bigger and stronger?
I can touch on these other ones. Yeah, just strong secondary. I mean, we added some new pieces. Particularly, at safety as well as corner, really everywhere in the secondary. And so just want to see all that come together. We're very confident about that group. I have very high hopes and expectations for that group. I think we got much more athletic, just much more physical. We have more of the body types we're looking for and just the more athletic profiles we're looking for in the back end. So really excited about that group. Want to see who really emerges as those 3 interior DBs, your star and your 2 safeties. Who are the 3? Because I have my idea who I think it's going to be. I think it's Lane. I think it's Metcalf, and I think it's probably Quay Moss. I think those are your 3. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Farouk factors in too. We got Sidney Watson. It's going to be an interesting battle. So excited to hear about that group. Bigger and stronger. You talk about Coach Owens. I mean, let's see how much of an impact, because he said it on, what was it on when he was talking to Mike Keith, was it? Or was that, he said, hey, we got guys already added 15 pounds in about 2 weeks or whatever he said, however long it's been, at 15 pounds. So I want to see, can we see that stuff visibly with our eyes? Do these guys pass the eye test in a more dramatic fashion than they did last year? I want to see a bunch of guys that look the part, because I think, maybe it's overblown, but I think it starts with looking the part. Look the part, and then you can play the part. So I want to see a team that looks the part first and foremost. And then, less tempo, man. That's, like I said, this could easily be number 1 for me. I think our offense, in a lot of ways, if we just tweak that, if we just lessen the tempo, we'll say we're at 98% tempo last year. If we can dumb that down to about 62%, all of a sudden, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And a lot of that, for me, goes into number 5, different personnels. If you slow tempo down, you can get into different personnel packages. And I'm talking offensively here. You can bring in 4 wide receivers. You can bring in 2 running backs. You can say, hey, maybe it's 3 receivers, but let's switch up who's in the game so we can get guys that we think have a skill set we can take advantage of, get them in position to win. Maybe we have 2 or 3 tight ends out here. Like, we can do creative things. Maybe we bring out 7 or 8 offensive linemen. We can do creative things, but I think it starts with us lessening the tempo. So those are 2 things I would like to at least hear that we're dabbling in that in the spring. That give me high hopes for what's to come in the fall.
Okay, man. Look, I love everything that's on your list, and I mean, shoot, man, we could have put so many different things. Actually, before I get into my list, I'm gonna throw this one out there. If we could go to 6, number 6 for me would be no drops or very minimal drops, because that's been such a big problem. It's gotten worse and worse every year that Coach Heupel's been here. And it's not just wide receivers, it's tight ends, it's running backs. Whenever you have a new starter at quarterback, especially someone that's younger, which I don't think is that big of a deal, but even still, you want to be able to help them out by making catches. So if they make a big time play, you got to help them out as a pass catcher. But either way, 1 through 5 for me, this is in order. Number 1 is I want to see strong offensive line plus depth. Okay. Like, that's the biggest thing. If we're going to have a good team, the offensive line needs to be good. Okay. And it needs to be deep because those guys get banged up. So I'm interested to see how that's going to look. Number 2 is the same thing for the defensive line. And I think more specifically with the defensive tackles, but I mean, you could also talk about the defensive ends, which I have that at number 3. I want to at least find one guy that is elite as an edge rusher. Is that Chaz Coleman? Is that Jordan Norman? You know what I mean? Is it maybe somebody else? Like, you got to have at least one player, because if not, it's going to be very difficult with the just kind of like juggernaut teams on paper that we're going to have to face in 2026. And then I just want to see the quarterback show that they're capable, but also want to see him playing with a whole lot of confidence. I want to see him asking all the right questions and just taking care of the football. So that's pretty much what I mean by capable. Obviously, you want to be able to make some plays. Use your legs, man. Like, we got guys now that can actually, like, for real do some things with their legs. So that'll be fun to watch. And, of course, we'll talk more about the quarterback battle in just a second. But also want to see some offensive scheme upgrades, and that goes to your point, P, about running less tempo, switching up personnels, and add some different wrinkles to maybe not so much the route tree, but route combinations, more things under center. Just like, there's a lot of things. And if we have something that is tailor-made to the personnel that we actually have, then we will find success. Again, we'll go back to Indiana. We'll talk about them maybe over the course of the whole offseason, because they just won the national championship, and they did it with a roster that's not as talented as Tennessee's is right now. I don't care about the age. Yeah, age makes a difference. But even still, those guys weren't very good. Okay, it's not a whole lot of those players going pro, even though they're, super old. So that should tell you something. They just had a coach that got the absolute most out of them, and I'm hoping that Tennessee will do the same thing. Actually, Pete, taking it one step further with that conversation, I do want to kind of start to well, you know what? We're going to say that, because before we get into talking about quarterbacks, what do you think, right, is the number one thing, like, from both of our lists? What do you think is number 1?
Both our list, man. I mean, honestly, just if I'm assuming, if we feel like we have our knowns, things we know, I think we'll be pretty good offensively. Like, offense will be good enough. I was going to get the most out of that team. I think the defense, I think we have enough skill at the second and third level. For me, number 1, I think it's D-line depth, like D-line. I think that if that group shows up, I think that's a good sign for this team. And I think the sky's the limit. If the D-line depth is there, and if they're wreaking havoc and being dominant, this team's going to be tough to deal with.
That's a really good point, because I think it all starts with stopping the run first. And that's why I pinpointed defensive tackles. Like, they got pushed around so much last year, and we're both hoping that with Coach Owens coming in, that's going to change. Like, the guys got to be stronger at their point of contact. They also got to play with a lot more dog. They got to fight, scratch and claw, and that goes for the whole defensive line. But yeah, like, I do want to see us be better at stopping the run. That might be number 1, but at the same time, Tennessee needs to be able to run the ball better than we did last year too, which I don't think that it was horrible. I think a lot of that had to probably do with the scheme, switching up the offensive line maybe too much. But yeah, I mean, you could pick either one, but I just feel like with the young quarterback, I think that having an offensive line that can hold up as far as running the football and then keeping him clean, we've got the skill players, right? Like we got a bunch of dudes that we could throw the football to. I like the stable of backs. So that's still number one for me. Can I persuade you to change your mind, or are you dead set? Like make your argument if you are dead set on the defensive line being number one.
I mean, no, I'm not necessarily dead set on that. I mean, because like I said, I mean, I think you could almost put anything at number one. Like, I mean, you really could. You really could. Probably the only things I'd say not number one, maybe, I mean, you probably could argue that too. I'd say maybe elite edge rusher. I mean, I think that's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's very important, but I don't know if I put that up there number one necessarily. Capable QBs. I mean, that's obviously very important. But at the same time, it's almost something maybe I'm taking for granted. That's why it's not on my list. Is like, I mean, I know quarterbacks will be fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried about it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. And I mean, I would say probably if I had to pick one thing, I would say D-line would probably be the one thing that, I mean, I've got to see some improvement there. I've got to see something that gives me some encouragement and some confidence in that group going into the season. Because like you said, we got pushed around last year. We lost some guys that were veteran supposed to really help us out last year. So technically the guys that are in now, you could maybe argue are even worse than those guys. So I want to see these guys show me something. So that's my number one, I'd say.
Yeah, they're going to take a huge step forward. But whenever you say like with the edge rusher, because Coach Knowles doesn't blitz a whole lot. So how are we going to get pressure? Like, are we just going to get it with the defensive tackles? Or, I mean, like, don't you think that we would need at least one guy that is just that dude that's going to like command double teams most of the time? Or do you think that we could just skate by with two guys that are pretty good? I mean, are we going to be able to get enough pressure? Like, think about who we got on this schedule. It's some good offensive lines.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. And I guess, again, kind of taking it for granted that Coleman will be that guy. But, I mean, if we're not getting pressure, that's obviously a huge issue. My only maybe pushback to that would be I really believe in the secondary. And so maybe we can hold up a little. Like, I don't think it's as dire as it was last year where we, hey, if this guy's more than half a second to throw, game over. You know what I mean? Nothing we can do about it. Especially if they attack the middle of the defense. I don't know. I mean, I think we honestly could get by with two pretty good guys. Maybe get you, 2-3 guys that finish the season with 5-6 sacks. And I mean, each, you know what I mean? And I think that might be good enough, honestly.
You think that's going to be good enough for what?
To win, like,
what a second. Win how many games? Huh? Indiana had a guy with, and actually, I'm gonna have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that Indiana had somebody with more than 5 sacks. Indiana had to at least have like one guy, but Indiana also blitzes a lot more than Coach Knowles does too. Like Indiana dials up pressure. Knowles don't really do that. Or do you just think that maybe he might start doing it?
I mean, I think Knowles is going to switch it up this year. I don't think it's going to be the same. Like, I think he'll get a little more exotic. I do, but I mean, we'll just assume he stays the same.
Yeah.
I mean, like if we're not blitzing, the D-line needs to get home. But I'm saying this, I don't think it has to be one guy. Like, I think it could be, like I said, you could spread it out. Maybe, I mean, I don't know how many sacks we had as a team last year. What we have, like, I have no idea. I would have said we had like 40 sacks as a team.
Yeah.
Maybe you spread that 40 out across like, 6-7 guys. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did we have 40 sacks? Yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so all right, so Indiana last year, their linebacker Hardy, he had 8. They had another linebacker Jones, he had 7. They had a defensive lineman. I think that this was the defensive tackle, maybe Tucker. He had 6. Daly had 5.5. Landino, I know he's a defensive tackle. He had 5. Fisher, he's a linebacker. He had 4.5. So maybe they didn't have a guy that like up front that was just that dude, but like they dialed up pressure. And they had really good blitz and linebackers. But to your point, maybe Tennessee will be that team in 2026 where we can dial up those pressures. I think that we've got the guys at backer who should be good at blitzing. But, I mean, we both understand, like, you got to be able to get pretty consistent pressure on the quarterback because as good as I think the secondary is going to be, which we will get to that, I mean, nobody can hold up in coverage for like 4 or 5 seconds, right? Especially you think about, like, man, look, we got Arch Manning. I'm not super high on Sam Levitt, but inside of Lane Kiffin's offense, that's a problem. Like it's a lot of good quarterbacks on this schedule.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean that's part of it too. The age-old question: would you rather have What's the guy? Von Miller. You have one Von Miller who's going to go out and get you 15 sacks. Would you rather have 5-6 guys that can go out there and get you 5-6 sacks apiece? And now maybe it's a little bit harder for offense to scheme against you because hey, we got Von Miller. Let's roll away from him. Let's double team. Let's chip him. Let's use his speed upfield against him. But I think if you have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, kind of like you saw Indiana, 8 sacks, 7 sacks, 6 sacks. You can kind of come from different angles. I think it's tougher to stop, less predictable. So, I would still stand on my stance, man. To me, it's still the pretty much the interior D line depth and strength will determine the success of this team.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna stick with the defensive line. I'm gonna still stick with the offensive line, but I think that the moral of the story is it's about the trenches. Like that is the most important thing. And we'll talk about quarterbacks here briefly, and then I want to talk about freshmen, and then we'll talk about everybody else. But yeah, neither one of us are super concerned about the quarterback spot, but I think that most people, that's probably where they're worried at. So let's talk about quarterbacks, and let me tell you why I'm not worried about them. Okay, Pete. Number one is that if you look after spring practice last year, whenever Tennessee's scrambling trying to find a quarterback, we end up with Joey Aguilar, and everyone was like, "Oh, well, we got this kid in. He threw a whole bunch of picks." People welcomed him in because of the situation, I think, more than anything. But if we're being honest, a lot of folks said, man, Tennessee's not going to be a very good football team. Like, this is kind of like a mulligan year because we have a quarterback coming in on short notice. He's done some good things. He's an older player, but, man, he's very turnover prone. He hasn't played on this level. So it was a lot of question marks there. But now you fast forward to this season, right? After, obviously Joey has a good year passing-wise. And let me also make sure y'all can go back and check this out because I was one of the only voices, P, you said the same thing, that wasn't concerned about quarterback. We said, look, he's got to take care of the football, but we know that he's going to do well. Why? Because we knew Tennessee's changing up our offensive system. Teams aren't ready for it. So the first half of the season, we know he's going to put up numbers. He's going to be straight. We got the best quarterback coaches in the whole country with Halsley and with Heupel. So we was never really even worried about it then. Okay, but we also said, well, there is a ceiling on this team. We don't know, like, how low is it? Either way, fast forward to now, after Joey has a great year, people wanted him to come back. He's an older player, whoop-de-whoop. But we've got 2 guys, okay, that are freshmen. Well, one is a redshirt freshman, GMAC, all right, who was playing better than Joey in the preseason, all right? And then we've got a true freshman in Faison. Both of those guys are more talented, I think, and more capable. And I would also, and I've said this, P, I'll take it one step further. I'll say that I think that on a mental level, as far as understanding football, I think that they probably know it at least just as well, if not more than likely better than Joey Aguilar does. Why am I saying that? Well, I can't too much say it about Faison, but for George, I can say it. Because how are you outperforming a veteran as a true freshman? This is a guy who had been in college for what, P? He was going on his 8th year in college. Okay, so this is an older guy, but how does that happen unless you got a player that is more physically capable, but also probably knows the game at least on the same level? So now, he spent a year inside of our system. GMAC has. So now we're coming into this whole thing with a guy that is more talented. He's more agile. He's taller, and I think that he's going to be perfectly fine with the system that will be tailor-made to his skill sets if he ends up winning the job. But then obviously you also have Faison, who is, very talented in his own right. He's a little bit thicker. So 6'4", he's probably like 220. We'll see once the roster comes out. But I'm not worried about it because Coach Heupel and Coach Halsley will put these guys in the best positions to make things happen. Go back to 2024, P. We didn't throw the football a whole lot. I think we threw it the least amount in that year. But we stuck to the running game. We slowed the tempo down. That's the slowest that it's been. We go to the college football playoffs. The defense was really good, but I think some of that might have had to do with the tempo slowing down too, man. I think some of that had to do with us eating up clock, running the football, so on and so forth. So just to kind of set the stage, neither one of us are concerned about the quarterback situation. I think that the floor for our quarterbacks is about the operational stuff that we got last year. Doesn't mean those stats. It means the operation. We might throw the football less, but I would say on a per play basis, we'll probably take care of the football more and we'll just kind of do the same types of things, if not better. But what's your thoughts, Pete?
Yeah, like you pretty much said it. I'm not worried about the quarterbacks. I think you look at Heupel, Halsley, you look at that bunch. They didn't really press too hard for a quarterback in the portal. They had every opportunity to go get a guy. Didn't really press too hard for it. And I think that tells you pretty much all you need to know right there. Like, they know they don't need to, break the bank to go get a guy. And that's something we've seen. I can't remember who said it. Was it Wilfong or somebody was talking about it a couple weeks ago. Pretty much every number one target that Tennessee has, as far as recruiting, I don't know about the portal necessarily, but as far as recruiting, they've landed their number one guy. Anytime they have a guy they really want, they go all in, they get him. If we wanted to get a quarterback, we probably could have got him. We probably could have paid the $6-7 million for one of those guys. You know what I mean? But we didn't want to do that because we knew we needed more pieces elsewhere, and we felt pretty comfortable with what we had in that quarterback room in GMAC and Faison Brandon coming in as true freshman. I think that they think the world of GMAC. We've touched on it numerous times before. Everything we heard sounded like he was winning a quarterback battle last season, but it was just kind of given to the older guy, the more experienced guy. And so I feel very confident in George. He's a guy, football family, very kind of stoic, even kill guy. I think he has the right demeanor to be able to lead this team. Go out there, keep a low heart rate, do things he needs to do. And of course, we trust Heupel, we trust Halsley. Elite quarterback coaches, we talk about it all the time. These guys know what they're doing. They know how to coach it from the ground up. They're very technical with it. And this is George's second year working with these guys. So I'm sure he's improved leaps and bounds. And like you keep touching on too, this system probably will be tailor-made for George to really operate and showcase his skill set. Look for this thing to really look different than last year, even more tweaks than what we've seen. And expect this. Don't be surprised if offense comes out flying. You talked about Joey coming into this year. Everybody's like, they're going to be bad, whatever. We're coming out, our offense is freaking flying. We're going out dropping 40 on George. Should drop 50 or 60 on those guys. You know what I mean?
For real.
Like our offense was pretty much unstoppable early in the year. Though it gets a little tumor, that might have something to do with some of the things we saw later in the year, or whatever. But, all that being said, the offense will be fine. And something I like is Heupel, say what you want about him. He finds ways to win a lot. Like he's going to find a way to have a winning season, to have a successful season, to have a successful, team overall. And like you talk about 2024, we really adjusted how we played, slowed tempo down, played more defense, probably didn't go for it as much on fourth down. Like we just played more complimentary football. I would love to see how he tries to evolve this thing this year if the quarterbacks aren't maybe performing at a level where he feels like he can throw it, 30 to 40 times a game. Like if he really needs to lean and run game, is he willing to go out there and run it 40, 50 times a game, rotate all 4 or 5 of those backs, really become that type of team, really slow? Because I think he would do it. Like I think he would make that drastic of a change because he wants to have success offensively. So I'm excited to see it. One thing I don't worry about with Coach Heupel is the offense because I know he's going to figure it out. So quarterbacks will be fine. The only question is who's going to be the guy. That's the only question.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I do kind of want to touch on it, man. Like, who do you think is going to ultimately end up winning this battle? And I guess kind of like, why? Like, do you really think it's going to be a true open competition? Because this is what we've heard. And people will point to last year and say, well, we said that, but George really was outperforming Joey in the preseason and Joey still won it. I don't know that it's quite apples to apples. I think that with so much of an age difference, you wanted to, like, Tennessee was going to start Joey regardless, okay? Pretty much it's like unless he was horrible. But this is a situation that I think if it's about even through camp, would you play George or would you play Faison?
That's a $1 million question. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I think it's easier for me to answer what I think Heupel would do. I think Heupel would play George.
Okay.
And, it might be similar to what we saw in 2021 with Hendon Hooker. Hey, maybe Milton starts it off, and then, Hendon comes in. Like maybe it's still George starts it off, and maybe Faison ends up working into that spot as the guy. I don't know. But if I had to bet money, I would say this is George's job to lose. I do think it will be an open competition. Like I think they're really evaluated. If George just comes out, like I say open, but it's almost like on like a sliding scale, if you will. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, if everything's even, it's George. And I think even if Faison's just a little bit better, I still think it's probably going to be George. But if Faison is 10, 15 points better than George, then I think it's tough to deny him at that point. I don't think Heupel wants to play a true freshman. Like start him. I don't think he wants to, but I think if Faison comes out here and shows, hey, I am that dude from day one, it's tough to keep that guy off the field. So I'll lean George, but also don't sleep on Ryan Staub, okay? I know he's not the popular guy, but what is he, like a junior, something like that? Older guy. Pretty mobile, gutsy, got some moxie about him. we know what this staff can do with quarterbacks. And they get this guy to play football the way they want to within the confines of their system and how they do things. Is he a guy that can push and take the job? Wouldn't bet on that one. But yeah, I would say George would be my pick for sure.
So I think kind of like the opposite on that. I feel like if the competition is even, I think that Faison's going to end up winning. And the reason for it is he is a freshman. He's got a longer time to be here. And we've heard that if like whoever ends up losing this battle probably won't be back in 2027. So I think that you might want to ride off into the sunset with the young gun that's about on the same level at this point. Just because, look, man, George has spent 1 year inside of the system. Now, I'm not saying that that is going to happen, but if it's too close, I think that you might potentially be better suited to roll with Faison. And this is really just more of me thinking about maybe the way that Hypo might do it, but I can't really call it because it's hard to get inside of somebody else's mind. If it's me, I'm just going to play the flat out best player. And I'm not going to let it be like it's never going to be 100% equal. Somebody is the ultimate better quarterback. And it's up to the coach to figure out exactly who that is. So I also feel like I could probably hold on to both of those guys. Because if George starts, you could say, well, hey, look, Faison, you're going to get your shot. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have packages for you. Like, you sweeten up the deal however you got to do it. See what I'm saying? And then that also, I hate to keep on beating this dead horse, but that takes me back to overspending on a running back, $2 to $3+ million. You really don't. You might think that you got the funds to get that done. I don't know for sure if we do or if we don't. But unless we get like an influx of about $20 million, more than what we had last year, we don't have enough money for that. So I'm going to make sure I keep on. But either way, I do think that it's going to be a really fun battle. And we're all going to be watching it very closely. But I feel like we're going to end up being fine either way. Yeah, there's some concerns about a true freshman starting on this level versus that schedule. But, man, like just the offense it has been so quarterback friendly. Like it just – people do not understand how quarterback-friendly Coach Heupel has made these offenses, aside from 2024. That was the only one that wasn't really quarterback-friendly, and we've changed it totally. So, yes, the scheme is going to be a big part of it. Like I said, the offensive line, big part of it. Just have the quarterbacks that are confident, that are going to make plays, that are going to take care of the football, and, you know, that's really all that we need. Lean on the daggone running game. That's more important to me, P. Like you said, defensive line, the whole defense, that, like, those things need to be right regardless for us to have really good season. And let me also throw this out there to you, P, real quick before we move on to the freshmen here briefly. Tennessee right now, I think that the over-under on wins for 2026 is like 6.5. So how do you feel about that? Like, do you think that that's easy money, or think that maybe that's about accurate?
Man, I think I need to go ahead and bet on that one, man. That's to me. I mean, I know people talk about the schedule's tough and all that. Okay, yeah, whatever. Maybe it is. But, I mean, dude, like, I just feel I have so much confidence in the defense. I have so much confidence in our running game. I mean, I just have confidence in this team. Like, I mean, I just think this team is poised to make some noise. And I know I feel this way every year about these guys. You know, I don't know what it is. Every year they tend to get me going. But, man, 6.5, was it 6.5 you said, man?
Yeah.
I mean, dude. I think
you got to take the over on that, man.
Yeah,
like, even if it's just one more, like, even if it's just 7,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because, I mean, who would the 6 losses be? I mean, I'm assuming they're throwing Texas in there, probably throwing Bama in there, they're throwing
yeah. So I can actually bring that up in just a second. But
let's
go
see.
ahead.
Give me a better look.
Well, yeah, so this isn't the full schedule, but obviously this is everybody that's on the schedule. So Alabama, we get to play them at home. Arkansas, that's in Fayetteville. I think Arkansas is going to be better than some people think. I don't think that they're going to be great, but we always struggle going there and playing ball. And then, Auburn, that one's at home. I mean, their coach obviously knows Tennessee very well. Kentucky, I think that they're going to have a much better team than people think. They got a good offensive line, which always helps. Tech, that's another one. I think it's going to be pretty tough. LSU is going to be tough. South Carolina, they've got they've got a Browse as their offensive coordinator now. We know what that does. It's very quarterback friendly. Obviously, you got Texas, A&M, Vandy. I mean, it's really none of those games in my mind are just gimmies. There's not one of them that I look at as a gimme. So maybe it'll be like let's try to find 7 wins real quick. And I mean, obviously we have 2 already built in because we got Furman. And then like Kennesaw State or something.
Somebody else, yeah. I mean, I think Arkansas and Auburn.
Okay.
I think we
Just
got. I think we got 3 in a row there: Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky. I know this
Yeah.
is not the order of the games, but I
Right.
think
Right.
those.
Five.
I think those 3. I mean, I think I'm gonna throw Tech in there.
Okay.
I'm
That's
gonna
already
throw Vandy
6.
in there.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So there it is. I think that was 7.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm gonna say I
Okay.
might go and throw Carolina in there too. I know it's a good team. Like a
Yeah.
talented team, tough team
Talented
to play,
team.
but I'm throwing them in there.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Yeah, I think that does make it a whole lot easier for us to just kind of go through. Okay, can we actually get over the 6.5? Just like at this point, we haven't watched these guys play. Just like P said, always come into things expecting to win, and we'll see how things unfold. We'll come back and like do the whole thing over once we get done with spring practice. But I do want to move forward, P, and I want to talk about our freshmen, because there are some guys that I have some expectations from just coming up in 2026, and we'll see how they look over the course of spring practice. So this is all just my stuff, P. You could tell me, would you add anybody to this list? Are you taking anybody off? So on the left, those are the guys that I have high expectations for. Obviously, Faison, like we all know why. Tristan Keys, I think that he has a chance to be a starter. Carter Gooden, really all of our defensive tackles that are true freshmen, they're going to have to step up, and we will not see Darian Albert or Tyreek King. But, I expect for those guys to make some noise. They're going to have to for us to have a good team. All right, but then at defensive end, my guys, like I said, Carter Gooden, Hezzy Harris, Breeze Carter, who could also play at defensive tackle just due to his size. And then you've got Zay Anderson at corner. So those are the guys that I'm expecting some big things from coming up in 2026. But, P, what are your thoughts just with the guys that I'm like have high expectations for?
Yeah, I mean it's tough to argue with those guys. I expect a lot out of all those guys. Really excited about that freshman D line. I mean, gosh, doggy. I mean, you got what? You got like 8 of them in a row. You know what I'm saying? It's like 7 or 8 of them in a row, and they're all studs. You know what I mean? Only pushback I'd have there is I don't know how much we'll actually get to see any of those guys. That's all I know. I don't know if we'll see any of them. But man, I hope we can keep those guys together. I hope that they're okay if they don't see the field much as a true freshman, because gosh, doggy, that is a group of guys right there. I mean, really excited about them. We talk about Zayden Anderson, love him. If he can come in here, at a decent weight, which if he's 180, I mean, I think that's already solid. I mean, you're playing corner, you know what I mean? Like that's good enough, dude. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Tristan Keys, Faison, I love those guys too. We'll see if they give Tristan Keys a shot to really get involved this year. Again, it goes back to what I've been talking about.
I think that they're gonna have to give him a chance.
They have to. But listen, you got Travis Smith who I mean, he's a dog. You got Rollo who's a dog. Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna have to slow it down and rotate some of these guys, get different packages, because Tyreek King, he ain't gonna be there in the spring, but he's a guy I'm also really high on. So you have some weapons that you need to utilize, and you can't get caught up going tempo, and only 3 guys see the field. We can't have that this year. So hopefully Heupel's willing to change that, because Tristan Keys, I think he's a guy that can really help us out as a true freshman.
Yeah. And so let me make sure that I do clear this up, because I'm not saying that these guys, like whenever I say high expectations, it's not like Faison where you're saying, well, he could maybe be the starter. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I expect for these guys to be ready to play. Like I expect for them to at least be really good depth pieces. And also I'm just like looking at where they're playing at, there's a chance that they will get to rotate in, because maybe there's not as much veteran depth, or maybe guys aren't necessarily like as talented that are older or that have, whatever. That's more of what I'm saying. It's not so much, hey, I expect that these guys are going to start. I just want to make sure that people understand that. We will jump into my moderate picks. And, again, for anyone that didn't make this list, y'all, it really isn't like, I'm not saying that they're bad or any of that type of stuff. It's just based off the situation. So with my moderate picks, y'all can see that I've got TJ White and Braden Rouse. I've got them up there because I think that room is so deep that those guys probably shouldn't have to play, but I also think that they will be ready to play. So that's the only reason that they're not like in the high category. Guys like Tyreek King, he's very, very talented. He's coming up late. That's gonna hold him back. But like you said, Pete, like we need to be able to rotate. So he should be one of the guys that can rotate in at slot. You've got Braylon Staley, you've got Joakim Dotson. And then I think that Blair, he's a guy that inside of my mind, Pete, I could see him maybe helping us out at guard potentially. as a freshman. Now, maybe as an offensive tackle, but I just think that's a much taller task than it is playing at guard. And then, outside of that, we got guys like Kedrick Golston, who I see playing at like Leo in a 3-3-5 sort of a role. The same thing that we talked about with Jeremiah Thielander. I see him fitting into that perfectly. I'm hoping that he's up around 240, so that would make him about the same size as a Jeremiah Thielander. He's, in my mind, already a better athlete, so that could maybe thrust him out there. He might have a little bit of a bigger role than probably most of the other players on here. I'm just saying potentially. Okay, and then we've got, of course, Joel Combe, who we've already been hearing some really good things about. That's a very deep room as well, but maybe he fits into the mix. Maybe he bumps up higher than some of those vets. And then last guy for me is Jam Theodore. And he's important. And, I would say, I'm just going to single him out. Important because we need more depth at nickel or star. I think that he could do that. And I think that Coach Heupel, hopefully he's going to be more adamant about getting those guys ready to play, because last year the freshmen weren't ready to play at star for us. So that's how that part of it looks, P. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head with these guys. I would maybe argue too, though, that TJ White and Braden Rouse might be as ready as any freshman on the team. You know what I mean? But it's like you touched on. It's just so many guys in front of them. It's tough to expect them to really help you out much. But man, I mean, you talk about feeling good about your depth. I mean, I thought we can get down to the bare bones. God forbid, we can get down to the bare bones of that linebacker room. And you're just as excited to see these guys as you are to see your starters out there. Like, really love those guys. Mara touched on King, Blair. I think he's a feisty guy. We'll see how he comes in here. How's he look physically, things like that. Can he pick up on it mentally? Kedrick Golson's heard a lot of things about him. I think his dad's an NFL guy, right? I mean, this guy gets it. So yeah, he's a prototypical type of guy that comes in ready. You know what I mean? Like I played with guys like that when I was at Vandy. Some guys just came in as true freshmen, and it was like they had already been in college for 2-3 years. Like they had the right mindset. They're already rocked up. Like he's one of those type of guys. He'll be ready day one. Kind of like, I guess you call him a high floor type of guy. Combe, love him. And then Jamian, he's a guy very underrated. I think he's like a 3-star guy. I think he might be our lowest rated recruit. Which I think similar to I think Ty Redmond was in that for his class. I think he was one of our lowest guys. I think Jamian, I think he's a guy. I mean, when I watched him full game, I was very impressed. He's got a lot of pop, a lot of twitch. I don't know if he help us out as a true freshman. It depends on how physical he can get, how much bigger he can get. But I think athletically, he's a very special player. I think nickel's perfect spot for him. He's a prototypical nickel. Reminds you of Roby, played in the league for a while. Reminds you of him a little bit. So we'll see, man. I like him a lot too. So just really excited about this freshman group overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting to see them out there, and I'm sure that we'll probably see a whole lot of clips of all of our new players. They'll, I'm sure, spend a bunch of time with the quarterbacks as well. But I do want to talk about some other parts of this team piece. So let's start off. So we talked a pretty good amount about the defensive line at this point. I don't know if we need to double back around to that necessarily. Let's talk more about maybe linebacker. Let's go ahead and take it there, because obviously Arion Carter, he's not going to be able to do anything over the course of spring. And then, we've got Campbell coming in. We've got Edwin Spillman, obviously Jeremiah Thielander, Jaden Prelati, Jaden Harmon, Jordan Burns, both of the freshmen that we just talked about. Did I leave anybody out?
I feel like you left somebody out.
Yeah, I do too.
Did you say, who was the other linebacker that came in last year? Harmon, who's the other one?
You might be thinking about Brendan Ains. Brendan Ains left.
Ains.
Yeah,
Did you say Spillman? You said Spillman? But I thought it was another one with Harmon, though. Who's the other one? Is it Christian Gass I'm thinking about?
Yeah. So Christian Gass, he's playing at Leo. Yeah, he's playing at defensive.
Feels like you did miss somebody, but maybe not.
Yeah, so no, I mean, shoot. So the guys that came in last year, it was Jaden P. It was Jaden Harmon. It was Brendan Ains, and then I guess Christian Gass. But we got him to play on the defensive line. So that's I think that might be everybody. Obviously, Brendan Ains left. Ben Bolton, he also left. So yeah, I mean, I just think that group, that's going to be a really fun one for us to watch. And I'm hearing that some of those guys that were lighter already putting on weight. I can't wait to see how they actually look moving around. What do you think is going to be like the ultimate Like, what's the main thing that you feel like the staff's going to be looking for to decide who goes out there first, second, so on and so forth?
I think it's easy, man. I think it comes down to execution. Who can handle the most stuff mentally, not bust assignments, and just be consistent. I mean, that's what these coaches look for, and that's why you can never count on a guy like Jeremiah Telander. Even if guys surpass him athletically, physically, it doesn't really matter if they don't feel like they can trust those. That's one thing about a lot of coaches is man, they want to be able to like trust you. Like if they feel like you're gonna give a big play, they don't want to give up big plays. They don't want to have bust. They think you're a guy that's gonna kind of do your own thing. They'll sit you, which I'm speculating here, but that might be what we've seen with Jordan Burns. Maybe he's a guy that doesn't maybe know it, because I think physically, athletically, I mean, he's got to be like your top one or two guys on the defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he doesn't really get to see the field, so. I think whoever can learn the playbook and operate, make the right checks, operate fast, help line people up, be the most vocal, show the most presence on the field. I think those would be the guys that see the field the most.
Okay. Now let's talk about the defensive ends, because we just talked about Christian Gasson. He's another guy that we don't talk a whole lot about, but he's one that you could tell, I think, playing at Leo the way that we played it last year, but also Leo inside of this system, whether it's more of like the 4-2-5 or the 3-3-5, I think that he could fit that very well. I'm curious to see how he looks as a pass rusher at this point. Has he gained that weight? Because we definitely need to find some more guys with some twitch that can, and I talked about it, like that's a big thing for me. We need to find more guys like that. We've already gone over all the like true freshmen, but he's one that's pretty interesting to me, P. Is there anybody else that maybe stands out to you that you think could make some noise that the fans need to be looking out for coming up tomorrow?
I think Gas is an interesting one because we don't talk about him enough. We saw a very little bit of him last year, but he flashed. Like I was like, okay, like I definitely had high hopes for him, and I liked what I saw. So he's one. You're right. You don't think about him enough. I think it's just because every time you see his size, it just says like 6'3", 216 or whatever. You kind of throw him away and don't think about him. But let's just assume this guy gets up to 230, 240.
Yeah,
I think he could be a serious problem, especially the way Jim Knowles will use those Leos almost like linebackers and let them kind of shoot gaps. I mean, I think he is a perfect fit for that. So yeah, I think that's a good one. I don't think there's a better sleeper pick than him, in my opinion, because no one talks about him, but he has a ton of potential.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, is he not picking up weight? Because even like the insiders don't even talk about him. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't say a word about him. But I mean, that'll be one that I'm watching very, very closely. But yeah, I mean, there's some other dudes. Like I want to see how does Chaz Coleman look, right? He's up to 250. Is he already over 250? Because that was like a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, he's got all the tools. He's got every single tool that you would want in a pass rush. I don't think his straight line speed is outstanding, but do you really need that? You know what I'm saying? Jordan Norman, I'm really high on him. Those are our top two guys. Obviously Marion Dye. Is he going to bump inside and play a defensive tackle, or is he going to be able to stick around playing a defensive end? You got Weathersby, love him. And then you got all those freshmen. I mean, Carson Gentle, I don't know. Is Carson Gentle still inside of that room, or are they moving him to more like H-back or fullback, or, what the heck's going on there?
Yeah. And, Marion Dye, he's one. I really want to see what the weight program, the strength program does to him and his body. Cause he obviously had good size last year. I want to see him get more rocked, more developed.
Yeah.
Like I want to see him really become a man, because he's a guy. What's he go, about 6'6"? I mean, this guy's 6'6", 290. So who was that guy? David Clowney? I mean, he's in that type of conversation almost. Maybe not quite as fast, but he can be that. I think he was 6'6", 290 at the combine. I mean,
was he? Sheesh, dude.
I think he was. Ran a 4.3, I think.
That's
ridiculous. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if I'm ready to put him in that same conversation quite yet, because my goodness, dude. Yeah, like that's like what's the guy's name that plays for the Miles? You know what I'm saying? Garrett. What's his name?
Miles dude. Garrett. Yeah.
Miles Garrett. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Like that. You talking about that? I think that he could be something similar to that. Like I'm gonna have to see it though. But he is a freak athlete. Maybe not so much on that level, but he is a freak athlete. So he could do a whole lot of good things for you. We just got to see him do it out there on the field over the course of these like 15 days worth of practice, which will last for what, like 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. But defensive tackle, we've talked about that, right? Like you've got Obviously, David Hobbs probably playing at your 3. You got Gilliam probably playing at the nose, like those 2 guys. And then, I mean, you've already talked about Campbell. You've talked about Utley, Nathan Robinson. Still got Charles House. I mean, it's a whole lot of names. It's a whole lot of talent. But that room's gonna have to show up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean those freshmen from last year have to take the step.
They got to
Campbell
take
Utley,
a big step.
They probably have to take the biggest step of anybody in the whole team. You know, if you want to put them at like a 75 last year, those guys need to jump about 10, 12 points and be pushing 90. You know what I mean? Like they need to be, and it's a deal. Like we brought them in to be those type of guys.
Oh yeah.
Right. And we said this preseason last year. What we say? True freshmen. I'm never going to expect a true freshman to give me anything in the trenches. I mean, I'm just not. Like I'm not going to hold them to that. If you do, hey, great.
That's
they were
great.
out there, and you know they got their feet wet. You know what I mean? They got pushed around a little bit. They exchanged some blows. How big of a jump does that take year 2? I think that's going to be a huge deal because now you have a better. You feel much better about your 2 deep on the interior of that D line if those guys can take that jump.
Yeah, and it's like they didn't get pushed around necessarily worse than the other guys did. Like I mean, everybody was getting pushed around. So like that's the thing. But yeah, I expect that they will take a very big step, and as we've touched on several times, that's going to mean a whole lot. So we've already talked about the safeties. I think a pretty good amount, but I am looking forward to seeing TJ Metcalf. I'm looking forward to seeing Lane. Obviously everybody else, that was here last season. Quay, I look at him as more of like a star, which is a safety for Coach Knowles, but I look at him as more of like a slot player. I'm looking forward to seeing him. But then at just like true corner, you've got your Tyler Redmond that everybody loves. He's going to be perfectly fine. I'm not worrying about Red. You've got Kayan Lee. Love him. He's another one, man. Like our starters are really, really good. Like we know that they're good, but what's the depth at corner? That one that's kind of scary to me, P.
Yeah, and I'm not as worried about it because here's the thing. I don't know. This is kind of interesting way to put it. I don't think our depth at corner is as good as it was last year. And that's saying, hey, we lost Jamada saying we lost Jamada and Ricky. You know what I mean? And then we bumped in Ty Redmond and Colton Hood. Like I don't think we're quite there. You know what I mean?
I see. Okay, so So you're saying that the depth is not as good as it like the players that we had on paper because like we had him on paper, Ricky Gibson, but they really never played.
Like God forbid if we lose our 2 starters this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we lost our 2 starters last year and we still were straight. I don't see us being that way.
No way. Yeah. No.
Yeah. But I do like what's his name? Jadis, Richard.
Richard.
I mean, good size. I think last year was a year kind of working his way back into it. But he's a veteran. I think he'll be able to play with technique and do things that can, or he's not just getting toasted off. Like I think he'll be a solid player. And then like I've touched on before, I think Quay Moss is your 4th corner. I think you move him in the corner. He's your 4th guy. Zay Anderson, true freshman. Timothy Merritt, a guy.
Yeah.
He kind of like, I like his build, long, rangy. How does he develop? Again, true freshman, Trey Petit, true freshman last year. How much those guys progress? Like I'm telling you, guys make a huge jump from year 1 to year 2. They might be guys that can really help you out. So I think we'll see it develop through the course of spring. But that is one with a lot of question marks coming into the season.
Yeah, that's one we have to watch that one very closely, and we've seen them look really good in all these drills because, I mean, in all honesty, this is SEC secondary players. They should all look really good going through those types of drills. But, what do we actually hear? Because, of course, for all y'all that are members, we're going to, we'll have some things out there for you. And then if you're not, this is a great time for y'all to join us. And so you can join us here on YouTube as a member by clicking on the join button just below or on Patreon at patreon.com/Bluechip Breakdown. But yeah, I'm going to be listening and seeing what the heck's going on with our secondary very closely and with everybody else. But that is one that I've kind of like got circled quietly. I want to see how the depth looks because I'm not worried about the starters. So offense, let's talk about wide receivers, man, because love that room. Dude, you got Mike Matthews, you got Braylon Staley, like you said, Travis Smith. All those guys look good. Joakim Dotson, this is in his 2nd year inside of the system. Didn't get to do a whole lot last year, but we know that he can fly. We've seen him use his wheels in real game situations. And then we've got several players that we actually added to that room, and I can't, in all honesty, in the 2026 class, I can't even think of those guys' names. But I would, huh? No,
Hodge. He's playing nickel.
Yeah. So Harge is playing on defense. The other guy, his name is Ian Duarte, I think. But so those are transfer
Mm.
portal players. But we
Yeah.
also brought in more guys from high school. It's like 2 more guys that we
Really?
brought in from the high school ranks. Yeah. But
Really?
so
I can only think of Tyreek King and Tristan Keys.
yeah,
We brought in more?
yeah, it's 2 more that we brought in late. Yeah, so we had 2
Okay.
more late guys, but either way, I do think that Tristan Keys, I've heard some really good things. Okay, I've like already, I've heard that he looks really good. Everyone has to learn, so he's going to have to be able to pick things up. But if he can pick things up, man, I think that we really got to watch out for him. And it's not a shot at anybody else. It's just from what I've heard, like he's one of those dudes. So I'm not worried about the wide receiver room. I just want for them to catch the football consistently. I know that we're going to get them out in space. I've talked about trying to find like that number one, maybe deep threat or a bigger body. The closest thing that we got to that is Travis Smith and I guess Rara. But maybe we can get by without all that. But like, what are your thoughts on the wide receiver room, Pete?
Yeah, the room and I'm excited about, man. I was excited about the room last year to even see, Braylon Staley and Mike Matthews to see those guys get more of an opportunity. Same thing this year. I'm excited to see Rara, Travis, or maybe Tristan Keys get more of an opportunity. Like I've touched on numerous times, my main thing, I think we have a number of guys that can play. Can we get these guys on the freaking field and give them a chance to learn, get better, develop, as well as just have a chance to be happy and not want to transfer after the season because they didn't get to play. I think you're doing a disservice to any of those guys, right? Rara, Travis, Tristan Keys, especially any of those guys that doesn't get their fair share of the reps, you're doing them a disservice. They deserve more. But this is a room, man. I mean, missing Brazel, huge, okay? But, man, I have a lot of confidence in Rara. I have a lot of confidence in Travis. And, Tristan Keys, true freshman, I think is going to be a guy for you as well. So this room will be fine. We'll just see if we can continue to get the same steady performance from the veterans, Matthews and Staley. If they can prove last year wasn't a fluke and come out here and do it again, even though teams now are pretty much keying on you, can you do it again? And I think they'll be up for the challenge.
Yeah, and I guess kind of like my last point with the wide receiver room is I know that there is still a narrative out there that, well, it takes wide receivers 2 years inside of this Josh Heupel system. It's not the same system, y'all. This is no longer veer and shoot. I think that we'll continue to go further and further from that. This system is going to give the wide receivers more opportunities to get open with a broader route tree and with better route concepts that work in concert so that people are like designed to get open and it's not so much of a gimmick, which is why we had so many guys that put up great numbers last season. It's because we started like that was the kind of like base of what we're going to do, I believe, in 2026. So, yeah, I'm really not too concerned about even the true freshmen coming in and picking things up. It's going to be tough, I think, to double team really anybody for the whole game because we have so many guys, right? And then we've got quarterbacks like George McIntyre. We showed it so many times. He's going to get the football out of his hands quickly. Now, yes, that was in the orange and white game or whatever, but it doesn't really matter, right? Like if that's just who you are, if you go to the open looks quickly and get it out to players out in space, then that's just he's going to do the same thing over the course of the offseason, I'm sure. And then if he is a starter in 2026. But, yeah, I'm not concerned. So let's talk about tight ends because this one's pretty big. We got Ethan Davis, Brame, love both of those guys. Cole Harrison's one that I'm going to be watching. If he can't figure it out this season, you kind of feel like, and I'm not trying to push him out, but you just kind of feel like he might want to make a change. He might want to move around and, go do something else. And then, we've got other guys coming in from the transfer portal that we both feel like are more blocking tight ends, but can they figure out how to run the routes and at least be like a underneath target for us? Because you can't just come in just to block. You're going to have to be a pass catching threat or it's going to be a problem. But what's your thoughts with the tight ends?
Yeah, like the group, obviously love Brame, love Ethan Davis. Those will be your top 2 guys. Can Ethan Davis continue his streak of staying healthy? Knock on wood. Because you hate to see something like that happen. But, if him and Brame can stay clean all season, I think that's a really talented pass catching group. And then I like the body types of those other more blocking type guys. I think that those guys sometimes they're labeled as blockers, but just because they didn't really get a chance to catch the ball. Like Kitzman kind of was that guy. And, he was a pretty good catcher for us, at least, not necessarily last season, but, the year before, he was a pretty good pass catcher and kind of shocked some people, right? So, same with the guy, Castles.
Oh, yeah, Castles.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I think tight ends is a position you can get some value out of, like some sneaky kind of cheap value out of those guys. So, I'm excited about the room, and I love the fact that we add those more blocking type bodies. I think we're going to go some heavier sets this year. So I love that Hype was putting that in his bag of tricks.
Yep. Okay. So now let's talk about running backs, because Deshaun Bishop is probably going to be penciled in as a starter. Now, as I've said, I've been on record as saying this. I would not just have him as the freaking starter. I sincerely wouldn't. And it's not because I have something against him. It's just because there needs to be an open competition, and we really need to get the most out of that entire room. So don't just crown somebody as a starter for whatever reason. Make them earn it, just like everybody needs to be able to earn it. So yeah, I feel fine with him coming back and probably getting most of the carries. But then who's the guy after that? I want to. This is kind of like my bold take. I think that Justin Baker is going to actually, like, from the fans' perspective, feel like he's the best overall running back inside of that room, if we give him the chance to prove that that's who he is. Because one thing about it, we know that he's a dog. Like, we know that he's gone through the gauntlet before he got to college. And all that stuff really wasn't too new to him. He's going up against, like, the best of the best pretty much every single day, and just in practice, but also on his high school football schedule. But we know that he can run, he can block, he can catch, and he's smart. And he's got that inner dog in him. He's an SEC back. So that's kind of like my hot take, or, like whatever bold take, that he will actually be our best running back in 2026. But what's your thoughts about this room, P?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a room you can't really go wrong with who you put out there. The only way you go wrong is in who you do not play. You know what I'm saying? Like if you only play 2 or 3 guys, I mean, you're doing that third or fourth guy wrong. Like, they all deserve a chance to play. They all deserve some carries. And it's going to be a tough challenge for Coach Sims and Heupel and everybody involved in that to determine who's getting the carries, who's getting the ball, and all that. Because I think they all deserve an opportunity. Like we talked about, we love Justin Baker. He's like, probably your biggest, strongest, fastest guy. And, not taking a shot at anybody, he's also probably your smartest guy. I mean, this kid's smart as a whip. So, I mean, it's tough for me to see him not getting a chance to play. But, oh, by the way, you love Morris. You love what he can do with the ball. By the way, he's not a true freshman anymore. He's probably put on. This guy might come in at 205, 210.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't know, and I mean, that'd be special. And then the freshman Gordon, love him. I mean, true freshman last year, guys.
Yeah.
We saw a picture of him. Like, I think I said this before, but his neck is freaking huge. This guy is another one. He could be your best back. So I think it's a really interesting room. Each back has their own special, kind of specialties. But I think the biggest challenge again is, how do you split the carries? Everyone deserves a little piece of that, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously that should give us a whole lot of confidence, just to know that we've got that stable of backs. And then we've got the true freshman. His name is Will Rajecki or something like that. So he's another one. He's about, I think that they're all 5'10". Everybody inside the room is 5'10".
That's crazy.
And he's going to come in at, he's probably about 210. I mean, he's a solid back. Like, he's big, muscular. I think that he runs hard, runs, well. I think he was clocked as fast as like 4.48 or something is what they have on one of his profiles. So, I mean, he's another guy that just adds depth. But yeah, all those guys need to be able to catch. They need to show a ton of versatility so that we can truly use them as weapons and lean on them more to take the pressure off of the quarterback. Now, let's talk about the offensive line, P. At tackle, obviously, David Sanders on the left side. Who you got as a starter on the right side?
I got Jesse Perry. I think he'll be the guy.
Yeah. And then so Ori, Ori is, he's like that swing tackle more than likely, but over the course of spring, we'll see how that battle looks. Now, these battles are really this is like the start of these battles. Whoever looks the best coming out of spring, heading into fall camp, obviously they have a better chance to ultimately end up winning it. But I feel fine with our tackles. And then at guard, I've got Wendell Moy and I've got Donovan Haslam. But do you think that Sham is going to push, or maybe somebody else?
I think he'll push, but I think it'll be Haslam. I just think, especially like we talked about, I think tempo is going to slow down a little bit too. I think that's going to help Haslam. I think he's a guy that maybe doesn't want to go tempo as much. I'm just speculating. He might not feel that way. But
So if I'm not mistaken, I feel like he actually ran tempo at his previous institution.
Oh, West Virginia.
I think he did. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they did run tempo.
He's used to it. So I mean, it's tough for me to see us bringing him in and him not being a starter for you. For this room, again, we talked about it earlier, your biggest question is the depth. God forbid, and that's the thing, it's tough in football to predict any position is going to lose multiple guys, but just God forbid you lose multiple guys anywhere. I think we have enough versatility though that we can manufacture some depth, move guys around. Perry can go to guard, Pelican can go to guard. You got Nick Moore, you got guys that can play center, so you can move guys around. But I think depth is your biggest thing. I think your starting five is good, but who's your next guys off the bench? That's going to determine the real quality of this room. I mean,
Yeah, I think that Cade Agumoro, he's a guy that I'm really high on him. I want to see Gage Ginther take those steps. We'll see how the freshmen look. Ed Baker's the only guy that, well, we got him, and then there's another guard that we brought in. So, you know, I think that maybe they could push as far as being like depth pieces, but I can't wait to see them moving around. Like, we have to be stronger at the point of contact. We got to be less clumsy, stay on our feet, and hopefully we can show a little bit more speed. I'm expecting outside zone is going to be a big deal. Like you talk about teams like Texas with those big, huge defensive tackles. It's hard to run right at those guys. You got to be able to run the outside zone versus those mint fronts, right? So that's going to be big. And then, yeah, I could see, I hope that they let the competition be open between Sam Pendleton and Nick Moore, because I think that that's really, like, we could probably take the biggest step forward at center inside of my mind than any other place on the offensive line, just because that was really the overall weakest spot for us on the offensive line in 2025. But yeah, I think that we covered pretty much everything. Obviously, you know, we'll talk about special teams maybe in a different video, but y'all should be ready to daggone rock and roll, man. Like, hopefully y'all are amped up about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying, yeah, let's be ready, man. It's go time. It's been a long off season. Yeah. And I just hope they get some good footage, man. I just want to see these guys. I want to see what these guys look like. I don't think it's going to take long. You know, give me a good 10, 15 seconds. I think I have a good idea what this team can do in the fall.
Yep, facts. All right, y'all. So look, we hope that y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Obviously, we will be back tomorrow, or at least I'm going to be back tomorrow with kind of like the opening day thoughts and all that good stuff. But as always, if you enjoyed this content, please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be talking to y'all tomorrow. Thanks, peace. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.